Welcome to the video. This video introduces you with basic components of Catalyst's infrastructure. As it has been mentioned, the key component of config API is a file that informs the framework which elements to construct. YAML file is passed, and the result dictionary passes to the constructor of the config experiment class. The class is responsible only for creating the elements which are required for training. They can be models, loaders, callbacks, etc. In other words, all what you have defined in the config. However, this class is not responsible for training itself. There is the runner class for such a purpose. The runner class performs our training loop. Now, let's review basic training loop in DL. There could be several stages, such as warm-up, training, fine-tuning, etc. Every stage has its own count of epochs. In each of them, we need to iterate over several data sources and eventually handle batches. The main difference between training loops in DL consists of the intermediate steps such as processing metrics, loss, visualizations. These intermediate steps must be processed in the specific part of code. For example, at the end of the batch or at the start of processing a stage. For instance, we calculate loss at the end of the batch and print metrics at the end of an epoch. That is the place where callbacks can help a lot. We add two events to every element of our training loop: on event start and on event end. So we have separated volatile parts from sustainable ones. That is the main idea of the runner. This class requests models, stages, loaders, and other components from the experiment and organizes the training cycle with callbacks. For example, you may have already noted that runStage method requests loaders and callbacks from the experiment. Main methods of the class are runExperiment, predictBatch, and forward. predictBatch transfers batch to an appropriate device and calls method forward to get the output. Method forward is responsible for processing a batch via a model. Let's run through the code of the runner. runExperiments processes an experiment. The runner receives stages from the experiment and runs each of them. At every stage, the runner prepares components: model, criterion, optimizer, scheduler, device, and composes a service instance of runnerState. That object is used to pass internal state during training, validating, inferring. Then, loaders and callbacks are gathered from the experiment. Afterwards, the onStageStart event is invoked, and the iteration over epochs starts. runEpoch is put between onEpochStart and onEpochEnd. In runEpoch, we iterate over all loaders. runEvent loader, where method equals start, invokes onLoaderStart event. runLoader is surrounded by torch set great enabled. It activates optimization during training. And onLoaderEnd is invoked eventually. In runLoader, we iterate over loader and process each batch. Besides, invoking onBatchStart, onBatchEnd end methods, we start or stop timers to measure some time metrics. For example, we measure how long it takes to make forward of your model. There are several types of runner. Supervised runner trains with a teacher. Supervised 1DB runner also transfers code, checkpoints and metrics to weights and biases side. GAN runner can train GANs. Most of the time you need supervised runner. We also should talk about registry. Registry is a module that helps to map all object names to their appropriate classes. For example, you have a config as the following. Catalyst needs to know how to resolve name SimpleNet. At first, open your init.py and import your model SimpleNet. Then, import the module catalyst.dl.registry, invoke method model, and pass SimpleNet as the argument. The same logic is valid for all components. Catalyst registers its own components automatically, so you don't need to register them. We have seen basic components of config API. In the next video, we will describe a typical file structure. Thank you for having watched the video. See you next time.